Richie Rich Show.
Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up? Richie Rich back on the ones and twos, man. Let's talk some world shit. This might not be an all the way trucking video. I know you guys tuning in me to hear trucking, but I want to talk about what I'm seeing out here in the world, man. And I think we're fixing to go into World War III. And you know what? I ain't fighting for nobody. I ain't fighting for nobody. Listen, I ain't got a dog in this fight at all. Between the Chinese and Taiwan, between Russia and fucking Ukraine, between Israel and Pakistan, or what is it? Is it Pakistan? No. Israel and Palestinians. Jesus, my mind went blank. I ain't got a dog in the fight, man. I was upset when I saw things on the news, though. I ain't gonna lie. Only thing I can say is history is written by the winners. Okay? History will look totally different if the losers actually had a chance to speak. I don't like what I see on TV and what I hear on the news. But I hate the fact that old men start wars and young men die in them. Okay? Now that I'm an older guy, it's, I don't see black and white anymore like I told you guys before. I see a whole lot of gray. One person's freedom fighters and another person terrorists. And I'm going to tell you something, man. I'm not going to war for nobody. Not even a little bit. I served my time. I have an honorable discharge. I was on ready reserve for 7 years. I'm done. I'm done. Only time I need to pick up arms if somebody crossed that big ass Atlantic Ocean, come over here, started some shit. But other than that, I'm not going no foreign land fighting and dying. Not for these reasons. Social media, you gotta be careful. When I was a government employee, I couldn't say what I'm about to say. Because there's repercussions for that. And there still is repercussions now. I mean, you can mess around and be on the terrorist watch list if you sound too sympathetic to certain issues. Do you know what I mean? And I'll be honest with you, man. I don't like what I see on TV with the people of Palestine and the Israelis. I don't like it. I don't like them bombing hospitals. I don't like them targeting civilians. I don't like what I see. Now listen, I know they started it, but here's a thought. If you're continuously in an apartheid state, Gaza is the world's largest open air prison, meaning these people are subjugated and oppressed. They can't leave. They can't do anything for themselves. They are controlled militarily. Okay? Do they have a right to uprise and fight? Well, let's look at American history. Okay, let's look at some of the wars here in this country. The Revolutionary War. Okay, we got tired of paying taxes to England and having England subjugate us and oppress us. So what did? We rose up and we fought. Okay, war is not pretty. It's not. It's not. Pretty. It's not rules oriented. It's a fight. Okay. And how would you feel if you went outside and you protested your unfair treatment and the soldiers shot at you and killed you? Okay. Israelis have done that. They're on record with some of the most egregious human rights violations in this country. In this world. Okay. A lot of this stuff is based on hatred and racism. It is. And I'm sympathetic to all the innocent people who lost their lives in the festival. Nobody deserves to die, But the thing is, when you want, here's one of my quotes I love from Malcolm X. Malcolm X was considered a terrorist at one point because his thought and his ideology was different than what was normal during his time. But I'm gonna tell you something. Malcolm X said one of the greatest things that's always stayed in my head. He said two things. First thing he said, if you ever have to ask another individual for your freedom, then you're not free. Why does another man have to ask another man for his freedom? You'll never be free. Okay. And secondly, he said the price of freedom is death. Okay. Unless you're willing to die for your freedom or your rights, the price of freedom is death. That always stayed in my head. Dealing with like things in life, nothing is free, even freedom. So I understand what's going on now, over in the Middle East. I understand what they're doing. Okay. It ain't pretty. It's ugly. But like I said earlier, I don't have a dog in the fight because I'm not Palestinian. I'm not Israeli. I'm not Ukrainian. I'm not Russian. I'm not North Korean. I'm not Chinese. And I'm not Taiwanese. I have my own issues here in this country. It just, you just can't come out and say that without being called anti-Semitic. That's like a guise they use to throw you off when you have an issue with how they handle things. Oh, he's anti-Semitic. No, I have no problem with nobody. Nobody. And I go on record right now and say I have no issues with no one in the Middle East, Muslim or Israeli or anything, Korean, Japanese. No, I have no issues with human beings. But I understand what it is to be oppressed. I understand what it is to be subjugated. I understand what it is for your history to be erased. This country here, United States. Right now I'm in Suffolk. And I'm in the area where Nat Turner did his slave revolution. Right here, where I'm at. I didn't learn about this until I was in my 30s, but here in Virginia, where I'm at in Suffolk, Nat Turner led a slave revolt. And at one point, he was considered a terrorist. But he got tired of being oppressed and subjugated and abused. So he fought. Okay? Like I said, only reason I'm talking about this because it's world news. And, normally this is a trucking channel, and I'm going to talk about some trucking stuff. But, sometimes I talk about what's on my mind, and how I'm feeling and what I be thinking. Because like I said, this vlogging is like a diary, like an open diary that you guys can read. I'll tell you my thoughts. We are fixing to go into World War III. We probably are. And, our administration, our government, one of the words I heard from, I think this was Mark Twain who said this, be loyal to your country always, right? But only to its government when it deserves it. And right now, our government is something shambles. It is in shambles. I usually don't talk politics on here because that gets people's like one thing I learned from truckers, because this is for me training all them years, is a couple subjects you try to stay away from. Religion, sexuality, politics. Okay, you never try to express those feelings to your trainees and stuff because, you'd be surprised what some people think. I know that most truckers are very conservative, and it would shock you, right, that they are, but they really are very, very conservative, and that's fine. That's fine. I just, I'm sad to hear what's happening, man. All the innocent lives being lost. I talked to my buddy earlier. I have a buddy, and I talked to who's Jewish, and a few days ago, his son hopped a plane and went over to a fight. Apparently, Jewish law is if you're Jewish, you have to go protect the motherland, and serve a commitment of 2 or 3 years if you're Jewish. I didn't, I kind of knew that when I was in infantry. I did train with some Ukrainian commandos, and during the mechanizing part, and I also trained with some IDF. They were down there in Fort Benning during some of those initial trainings. So, ironically, If I wanted to drop this truck off and hop a plane and go fight in Israel, I could. Trust me, they'll use me. So if you want to go fight for Israelis, hop a plane. Right? They will welcome with warm arms. Right now, they're mobilizing to do a ground invasion. That's going to get nasty. That's going to get ugly. I thank God that the struggles that African Americans in this country went through was really before my time. Okay, even though now we still go through things. Okay, as far as the policing and as far as some mild forms of discrimination, it was never like it was back in the early parts of this country. I could not imagine being a slave for 300 years and then being oppressed for 150 years after you were freed. I don't know anything about that. I could not fathom the humility that some of these men and women went through hundreds of years ago here in this country, with slavery, with your children being sold off, with your spouses being raped while you couldn't do anything. I mean, the emasculation that these men have went through, I just could not fathom it. So I say that to say this: I understand why they're doing what they do. See, the question that nobody's asking is why. Why are they going through this? And like I told you, the people of Palestine are subjugated or oppressed, and unfortunately, the Israelis are the winners, so they get to write their own history and they get to predict the way they want it to. So, I just feel bad for everybody, man. I wonder, will we ever live in a world where there's peace? There's always going to be some sort of conflict as long as men are around. Men are trash. I just say it. Man is trash. Okay? But that's the way of the world we live in. I just thank God that all those years of oppression, torture, just slavery in general, I'm glad I passed it. Even the stuff in the 60s. I am so glad that I wasn't around during the 60s and 50s where people were getting lynched, chased. I mean, I couldn't do this job back in the 50s and 60s, okay? Because sundown towns was a real thing, okay? I couldn't imagine pulling to a truck stop and being told I couldn't fuel there, or I couldn't use the bathroom, or I couldn't eat. I couldn't even imagine what that would have been like, okay? I thank God for the people who sacrificed their lives and said enough is enough. And unfortunately, they were considered terrorists. Okay. Nelson Mandela spent 30 years in prison. 30 years because of the apartheid state in South Africa. 2018, his name was taken off the terrorist watch list. I think the man's been dead. Okay. Martin Luther King was a terrorist. Malcolm X. Stokely Carmichael was a terrorist. Huey P. Newton was considered a terrorist. Who else? John Lewis was considered a terrorist. Okay? He was targeted. Okay? Anytime you stand up for inequality and injustice, you're against the winners, you're considered an outlaw. So what are you, a freedom fighter, or are you a terrorist? But like I said, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't, because I'm not of those people. I'm not. I really wish America stopped spending money and sending it over there. What bothers me the most is the billions of dollars that we send out this country to help other countries. And here in this country, we're struggling. Okay, look at the trucking industry, just to take a example of it. How brokers are closing their doors, companies are closing their doors. I just read somewhere Convoy closed their doors. Okay, which I'm not too sad about that. Okay, but mom and pop trucking companies are closing their doors, which I am sad about. Okay, they're losing their business. rent, mortgages are out this world. People are now paying almost 60% of their income to rent, food and grow. Listen, I went to McDonald's the other day, and I was telling my buddy this. I ordered 5 things, right? Double cheeseburger, a McChicken sandwich, 2 blizzards, Oreo blizzards, the little blizzards, and one Slurpee. That came up to like $17, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. McDonald's used to be the go-to for cheap food. You could make $5 stretch for like 3 days, but now you just can't. Things in this country are getting expensive. It's getting hard to live here. It's getting hard to work. And then on top of that, you have the infighting that's going on Capitol Hill. Nothing's ever get done. The biggest fuck you that this country just gave everybody was 2 of them. One, abortion. Okay? I don't like abortions. I don't like it. I worked in D.C. and I saw some of the nasty stuff there. But I don't have a right to tell a woman what to do with her body. Okay? I don't. I can't. I'll never be a woman in this lifetime. Okay? So I don't have the right to tell you what to do with your body. That's almost too much like slavery to me. And then the student loan crisis. I know some people who owe $130,000 for student loans that, first of all, they're not even using their degrees in the field that they went to study. And then on top of that, they've been paying on these things for the last 25 years, and they still owe more money. Okay? Because of the interest is outrageous. Why are people paying interest on student loans? Doesn't make any sense to me. Because they force you to take these things out when you're 18 years old. Okay? You don't know that you'll be tied into the student loan for the rest of your fucking life. Okay? So, they can send money for wars, but they can't help you with that. They can't help us do better. I think America was great, especially back in like Eisenhower times, Roosevelt times, because they put America first. We dealt with the expansion of the highway system, the expansion of productivity here. America was doing great. Now it seems like we worried about everything else except us. So why do we care? Why should I care about what's going on in the Middle East? Well, because we pay taxes. Okay, this is our tax money that we make no decisions on, that they're taking and they're doing whatever they want to. I don't support none of this stuff. But what can you do? What can you do? Run for office? Trucker Richie Rich for president? I wish. So anyway, guys, I'm just, little rant, little talking. I'm here. Here's a trucking thing for you guys. I'm noticing a lot of deadhead now. I got deadhead 700 miles to pick up a load. Last week I deadheaded almost 1,000 miles to pick up the loads I had last week. Now, why is that important? Well, they don't really pay for deadhead. It's the loaded miles really you get paid for. And you still got to pay for fuel and stuff, right? And truthfully, when you drive in the truck, you don't want to deadhead more than 100 miles or maybe 120 miles. At the most, maybe 200 miles to pick up a load. Okay? But not 1,000 miles. That eats up all your clock. And half the week is gone by the time you pick up the load. Then your income just goes down. So anyway, peace and love, man. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm about to start my day. It's a nice, gloomy day. It sucks when you hear about what's on the news, but I have an opinion about it, and I have a platform. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. In no regards am I supporting terrorists. Okay, I joined the military just to fight them, but it's a fine line between what you consider a terrorist and what you consider a freedom fighter. I personally think, because if the shoe was on the other foot, I can imagine what America would do if like Canada was like trying to subjugate us, or Mexico trying to subjugate us. Can you imagine the carnage? We will fight. Actually, America has historically have battles when people try to subjugate them and oppress them. You got the Mexican-Spanish War. You got the American Indian War. You got the Revolutionary War. There's so many wars that happened here because America was like, yeah, you tried it. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, those wars weren't pretty. Women and children and old people got murdered. Okay. War is not pretty. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be gruesome and bloody. That's how you get change. Because the price of freedom is death. Peace and love.